I gotta say, this episode was quite interesting. I don't know if it's the fact that they gave us an hour-long episode, but Darwin's game, very interesting. How are you doing, everyone? It's me, TheDomotaku. Welcome to the last episode impression video thing I'm making for now in my group of 4. So previously I did Asteroid in Love, I did Somali in the Forest Spirit, and I did the Madoka Magia side story. Today, lastly, we're talking about Darwin's game. Now this is a very interesting series that honestly surprised me a lot. I had some kind of low expectations for this anime, but in the end of it, I was kind of like, oh, this is actually really interesting so far. And you know, I think it's the fact that we got like an hour long, well, I wouldn't say an hour long, like 50-minute long first episode sort of thing. So Darwin's game. From the moment I read the synopsis about this anime, I kind of understood the sort of feeling it got. It's kind of like, have you seen King's Game or Batum or like among those things, sort of things like Death Game, sort of Battle Royale sort of stuff. So I thought I thought I'd imagine it being like that just a bit, and it kind of sort of went right, but I really enjoyed it as I watched it. And I was like, ooh, this is really like gritty and sort of like, you know, interesting to an extent. So Darwin's game, what is Darwin's game? Essentially, from the looks of it, we don't have an explanation for this weird game, but essentially from the looks of it is that it's some kind of mobile game that you play in an app that you access, and once you open the game yourself, you are like trapped inside this like hallucination little thing, or like you're trapped in this whole ecosystem of the game where apparently you're forced to fight people to the death, or you know, survive the clock sort of thing. You're supposed to fight people, and you're given basically superpowers or some shit, or like some kind of evolution, as to say in Darwin's sense, right? You're given an evolution when you join the game, and you can use that to try and help yourself fight people, earn points, and sort of, you know, stay alive. And you know, I don't know if it's like you die immediately if you lose the game. I think it's like you lose points, and if you lose points to 0, then you die. I think that's what I'm getting at, because there are some instances in the anime in the first episode where someone would lose a match, but they didn't like immediately die. So unless, I guess, they die, like their body dies, or like if they lose a game, then they won't like necessarily die yet. So our main protagonist, whose name I do not remember, Kaname Sudo, is our interesting, unlucky, fortunate guy who gets dropped into this game because at the beginning of this episode we are like, you know, following this high school dude who's being chased by a murderous panda mascot outfit guy who can apparently turn invisible and shit. And I'm just like, okay, that's some ridiculous ass superpower and evolution. So essentially, he's on the verge of dying, right? And I guess he can like use like some kind of app in the game to like call for help. And essentially, he calls his friend, our main character, Sudo, the protagonist, and he invites him to the game. And essentially, when he gets this invite, you know, he's like, oh, you know, this guy he sent me this link to this game. Oh, it's free to play. You know, he's been missing for a few days. You know, you guys seen him? And then you click the game, and freaking hallucination of a snake bit his ass, and then he kind of like fainted, and then now he is contracted into Darwin's game where shit goes down. So yeah, honestly, it's really a good first impression once you have like a 50-minute episode, you know. So yeah, he gets put into the game, and then like his other friend, his high school friend, he has like two. Well, one of them, his friends died, and the other one's just like, hey, like don't touch that game. He tried to warn him before he clicked it, but he, you know, it was too late. And unfortunately, he clicked it. Now he's part of the game, and he's like, yo, head straight home. Don't talk. Don't do anything. And you know, I'll come over and explain this game, but don't do anything, alright? And that was like some sketchy ass shit. So he's taking the train, and he's just looking at this game, he's very doubtful, and he's like, oh, what the fuck is this? It's just like a, you know, a regular mobile game, it's free to play. And he clicks on it, and he begins a match right away, and then he freaking sees the panda mascot outfit dude who killed his friend in high school, and he's just like, oh, what the hell is this? Like, you know, he's like taking it all, I kind of like it how he's like taking this all literally and just seeing like everything from his perspective and his mindset, and he's like, oh, what the fuck, this dude with a panda mascot outfit, just like, you know, he's carrying a knife, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? And he tries to literally run from him. So interesting enough, the people in this game are not affected by like some sort of like, you know, like illusion or something like that. When you're playing this game, you're in the real world, and you can actually see these people like, you know, fighting with these superpowers and shit, right? So, you know, this panda mascot outfit dude with a knife is chasing this guy, and no one's trying to help him. Freaking like, seriously. Except he tries to go to a police officer. He's like, hey, this dude in some crazy ass outfit's trying to kill me. and he tried to help. So yeah, the police can actually intervene with people playing this game, except the dude freaking has superpowers and invisibility and shit, so he just like whoosh, the cop, and then I'm just like, oh damn, they're not fucking around with this. And essentially his other friend comes along, and like he knows that he started the game, so he goes there trying to help him against his mascot guy. And apparently he has some kind of superpower to like see things with like a thermal scope or whatever. Or like, you know, he has like thermal eye vision or something like that, and he has like a crossbow sort of weapon thing. And he tries to help him. Unfortunately, you know, gets a slash, and it's up to his friend to defeat him. And he actually does, surprisingly. It's kind of, there's something off with this main character just a bit, you know. He's like very new to this game, but then he's just sort of like naturally adapting to it, or like very naturally has good reflexes and stuff, surprisingly, for this game, because he's just like taking it all in, I guess. I don't know, I guess I would too. I have to think rationally, and like, you know, like, okay, so this shit's going down, like, you know, he can turn invisible and shit, like, what do I do? How do we hide? How do we run? How do we fight? Sort of thing. I guess, you know, if you think calmly and rationally, then I guess you could act like this guy, because that's how I would like sort of try to react on the spot. So essentially through his wits, he does beat the guy. Actually, no, he doesn't even beat the guy. He kind of outsmarts him just a bit, but his invisibility power is so damn OP, except like a freaking car in the parking lot like just runs him over from the back, and then that's how he dies. Very lucky for him. So yeah, interesting enough, when these guys die in the game, or like, I guess, lose the match. Oh yeah, so this guy loses the match in the game, right? And he immediately dies, I guess. And I'm just like, okay, so yeah, it's a life or death game. If you die, if you lose in the match against a person, then you die, or unless you run the clock. Because from what I heard, if you run the clock and it's a draw, then you can both live, I guess, from what they're saying. So then after that, you know, his other friend dies to the game, and he's just basically telling him to survive. And apparently his thermal vision is to like actually scope out the powers of like everyone in this game. And apparently his friend has one of the strongest powers in the game, supposedly, or he has like some kind of super rare power. And that gets explained later on, because we get 30 minutes worth more of this thing. So after this whole conundrum, he basically, you know, fought this guy and won. His friend died again, and then now he's just like, well, what the frick's with this game? And it's hella funny, because he essentially uses like points in the game to buy a gun from Amazon and shit. And I'm just like, oh gosh, this is like some crazy ass, I don't know, there's some kind of like death game anime out there that I'm thinking of, but I can't put it on top of my tongue. But yeah, this game is pretty weird and pretty like, you know, downright whatever and crap. So essentially, his next plan of attack is to essentially ask some kind of person that texted him, like some kind of yandere chick. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a yandere chick with yellow twin tails and stuff, to ask her for advice or for help, because his friend couldn't explain him anything about the game. So he's really in the dark here. So he's asking this advanced player who's never lost a match ever to like, you know, are you gonna tell me about this game? You know, like, you know, can we trust each other, sort of thing. And they essentially do. You know, he's like, you get one question, how do we quit the game? Actually, now I'm thinking about Sword Art Online. Yeah, exactly. That's somewhat what I'm thinking about. So yeah, it's like, how do I quit this game? You can't. Unless you die or something like that, you know. Obvious answer. So then, I guess his next question is just like, actually, he doesn't have any question like that. His only main question was how to leave the game, and I guess no one knows the answer for that. And apparently, so everyone's evolutions, they're called sigils, which is like some kind of unique ability that everyone has for themselves. So then this twin tail yandere girl can apparently command chains like snakes and stuff. And our main protagonist has some sort of cheat ability, or I don't say cheat ability because his freaking thing says error, cannot analyze his power. But then essentially what he does is he materializes weapons in his hand, and they're like real and shit, right? So trace on. But yeah, in the example of the episode when he's fighting this chick, he apparently can cock up a gun in his hand and use it to shoot real bullets and stuff, and then he can cock up like a freaking stun gun. And like, does he do anything else with this power? No, it's just mostly, so far I've only seen him use a gun and a stun baton sort of thing, right? So interestingly, weirdly, his power, you know, this is like some kind of mind-blowing mechanic that no one has or no one's ever seen in this Darwin's game thing. And you know, hopefully towards the end of the series, I probably won't, but you know, so honestly, his power is kind of interesting, and it kind of reminds me of other certain animes in my encyclopedia stuff. But essentially, he beats the girl, and he calls a truce, or he calls it like a truce or a draw on them, so you know they won't kill each other. But afterwards, like that, you know, they're starting to, I guess, work together. And they can come with a truce, and now they're like companions for life. And Crazy Yandere Girl is like all into this guy, and there's a bunch of other people supposedly in the opening from what I saw. But yeah, so far, you know, this anime, I gotta give it props. You know, I thought of it as some kind of normal ass like battle royale, fight to the death sort of thing. But then after watching this anime, I thought this kind of higher expectations than I assumed, because they put a lot of thought into this game, sort of. You know, all these abilities and sigils stuff can come up with some really interesting scenarios, because it's sort of like a game to like fight these people. Yeah, and it's all, you know what? I'm gonna put this out there, right? It's a little bit like Fate, just a bit, because not in terms of like superhuman abilities and stuff, but like you have these people, like a battle royale sort of fight going on thing, right? Not exactly battle royale, but like you have these one-on-one fights, and you know, you're trying to assert in this person's ability, and you know, once you know their ability, you could probably try to plan on it better, or like fight to run away or to confront them and stuff like that. It's a little tactical in a sense if you think about it like that, and like, you know, it's really good to have like, you know, position awareness, and you can like, you know, you can't really run from these people. They can search you with the app on the phone and stuff in your fights. And you know, I just feel like there's a lot more fleshed out to this game and this episode and this series than I expected it to be, which is why I'm like really kind of like, my expectations were this low, but then they're just like, oh, this is not actually that bad, you know, sort of thing. Yeah, so this series has 11 episodes, and I don't know if this will be how the series ends, but you know, I can only assume, because like The Tomb and other anime like this, you know, I want to see an ending. Well, I'm assuming the ending of this series is how they, you know, quit the game and destroy it entirely, if that's possible. But you know, I don't think that'll be a case, to be honest, but that's just me. You know, I like to see things start and end, so that's what I would like to see. But if it doesn't do it, then so be it. It's all good. So yeah, Darwin's Game, interesting series. I honestly would give it a shot, considering as a full-length episodes, or like a full 50-minute episode, so you can get a lot of information and a lot of like, you know, get really into the series like right away, because like they put a lot more extra information than like a 30-minute episode sort of thing. So yeah, out of all that stuff that I saw, I got really interested, and I really piqued my interest, and I thought that, you know, my expectations was anime were super low, but I think this is really fleshed out, more the high, like above average sort of thing, you know, sort of anime, you know. So that's it for Darwin's Game, I guess. It's kind of, I'm kind of interested, you know, really interested to see what kind of scenarios they come up with, and people and their powers and shit, because it looks like in the off-world, people can use these abilities against normal people and just do whatever the hell they want. So it's gonna be maybe an anime like that, where they can like use their powers to like help people instead of just fighting each other in the game or whatever, or something like that. Who knows? So yeah, Darwin's Game, we don't know exactly how the game works, like in the mechanical function too, because I guess, I'm assuming you have to fight someone at least like once a certain time period, right? But then, you know, if you don't lose in the game, or if you surrender to the opponent, then you don't die or something like that. Yeah, there's just like a little bit more things to think about in this game that we haven't seen yet until the second episode. But for our first episode thing, this was really digestible and really fleshed out, in my opinion. Really liked it, really good first impression. So yeah, Darwin's Game. There are quite a lot more anime to talk about, and I am getting hungry because it's still breakfast time. So anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, because my goal for this year is to hit 2020. I'm tired, guys, and I haven't ate breakfast yet. My goal for this year of 2020 is to hit 1,000 subs. We're almost at 800. So subscribe and be notified for when I talk about the rest of the anime and stuff. All the anime that I talked about recently will be furthermore discussed via podcast stuff. I only do like first impression videos first, unless the episode really grants you know, a recorded segment for the episode. So until then, I'll be talking about everything in my future anime podcasts and stuff, the TheDomotaku podcast, so stay tuned for those. And I'll see you guys later. Take care, guys, and leave your thoughts in the comments on what's your favorite anime so far for winter 2020, because there's been such a good anime. Just a little bit. It's only been scratching the surface. There's still like 4 days or a week left, so we'll see what kind of new anime comes out in the next coming week. So see you guys then. Take care.